members. It really is an honor to be here. I applied for a solo show here well over a year ago, and this isn't my first time being here, but partially because Tom's work impressed me so much, and his involvement, Tom Paquette, with the gallery. I was in a show here as an undergrad at Edinburgh University, and I was so impressed with the space and the curating here that I just jumped at the chance to apply for a solo show. So I want to thank them, the Crary, their staff, and all of you for being here, and to Jesse. It's great to meet Jesse. It's great to see all of you. As a visual artist, it's not ideal to talk about your work, at least for me. I'm an artist that I'm not a formalist, but I appreciate my art to be understood as visual work. And so if I want you to appreciate the work without reading the artist statement, without my addendum of talking about it, I feel like it is okay to talk about it, and I can elaborate on many things that I'm happy to, but I want it to kind of be able to stand alone as artwork, because I think there is an ineffable quality to visual art that in our culture we don't always recognize. We sublimate visual art to language, that if you can't talk about the art, that it somehow diminishes the art. And I think there's something beautiful that goes back tens of thousands of years for us as human beings that ties us together, that millennia ago, some of our ancestors chose to make artworks in caves to try to understand their world in this way. That ineffable quality about art making still remains today philosophically. Culturally, we still don't know what the hell to do with the arts. We talk about it like, what are you going to do with art? What are you going to do with your career? And I think as an artist, the answer is you don't have to justify art. It justifies itself. Going back tens of thousands of years, the things that matter most, the things that predate empire, that predate organized religion, that go back to our roots as human beings, are on these walls, in Jesse's work and on my work, and on the work of every other visual artist that has their perspective on the world that you get to see. So, I'll talk a little bit along Mark's line about the difference between my paintings and drawings. Okay, so I'm not going to read my artist statement. You can read it, it's over there. If you ask me, I'll read it out loud to you, but just with my students, so I have the honor of being an adjunct at 3 different colleges, and I love getting a chance to teach young people. It wasn't my plan when I went to graduate school to teach. I went to graduate school to be a better painter. And I think that happens whether you want it to or not. But I found out when I was in grad school that I really loved teaching. It kind of informs what I think about art, what I think about talking to young people about looking. We live in a culture where we see thousands of images every day, and we don't look very long. We don't stare at things long enough to really understand them in this complicated world in which we live. We don't take time. My paintings and drawings are all about little moments in time, sometimes really mundane moments. Most of our lives are spent in really mundane moments that we don't talk about. But that's part of being human, and maybe a really important part of being human, where we connect with each other and where we connect with others. I think that the connection between my paintings and drawings, if I were to be simplistic about it, is that my paintings are a series of moments piled on top of each other. And if you look at my paintings, you'll see there are multiple iterations of figures. I can talk about journey a little bit, because I think life is a journey, and being an artist is a journey, and each one of my paintings is a little bit of a journey. In the sense that I don't paint knowing what the end looks like. Okay? I start with drawing multiple iterations of figures, and I know this is kind of esoteric, but you're here to listen, I guess. So I start with multiple iterations of figures, and I don't know where they end. And that's what I love about being an artist. It's not the end point, it's the journey. Just like life. We know what the end is, we're all mortal. We know what the end is. We don't know what happens in between. So every painting is that journey. My drawings are a single moment, usually, and my paintings are moments piled on top of each other. Sorry. That's how I would describe what I do as an artist. I'm happy to talk further about the paintings, but they are about being and time, and maybe the mundane being a little more important than we think it is. The part about journey is that sometimes where we think we're going is less important than how we get there. And if you'd gone back like 10 years ago, I never would have imagined I'd have my master's degree, be teaching, sorry. I apologize. Teaching young people about art. If you had asked me when I was here at the Crary 7 years ago that I would be here again with a solo show, I would not have believed that. But that's part of the journey. When you embrace uncertainty and make decisions to do things that seem uncomfortable or impossible. I worked for 2 decades in manufacturing. I was the most blue-collar worker you can imagine. Now my life's pretty different. But I still have some of that love for being a blue-collar worker. You know, I like to make things. Life is a lot of things that you can't control. And sometimes recognizing that our lack of control is a gift. So we find beauty in the things that we don't have control of. And I don't want to belabor that or go on too long. I know all of you are here for a little event, so I don't want to take too long to talk about that. But I will read this quote from Martin Heidegger. I have an opportunity to talk to students all the time, and it's less uncomfortable for me than this, frankly, where I can talk philosophically to my students about art being deeply, deeply important. And one of the ways in which I think we are most human, I think we are our most spiritual, our most tied to what it means to be a human being, when we recognize that what makes art amazing is that we don't know quite what the hell to do with it. And that's part of being human. So I want to thank all of you for being here. And I'll finish with this quote from Martin Heidegger, which says, "The familiar carries an air of harmlessness and ease, which causes us to pass lightly over what really deserves to be questioned." And I invite you to do the same. Look at life a little more deeply. Think about your relationships and about how important kindness is as a way of being in the world.